We're obsessed with the Connie Fife Show. It's about a lifestyle shift to move up or out.
Hey, what's your jam? What's the one thing that really drives you? What makes you unstoppable?
It's about opening a new door to live your dream.
People give up way too early on their dreams.
It's about enjoying the journey. It's about keeping it real.
Damn, now the interviewee is interviewing the interviewer. I like this.
It's all about you.
I knew there was something else I wanted to do. Stop taking shit so seriously. Y'all can do this. Take an outrageous look at life and laugh.
This is the Connie Fife Show.
We love your voice. We love your jam. You need to be on radio.
And now your host, Connie Fife.
Well, hello, you're listening to the Connie Fife Show. We are a business radio show with an edge. I mean, you get it all here. We're unscripted. We're unedited. You just never know what we might be saying and sharing. But we talk about how you can move up in the C-suite or get out and live your dreams, as a business owner. And that's what a lot of people come to me. They have been over the last number of years. I mean, I've been doing this almost 12 years. And it's always, what's the secret sauce? How do I get out like you got out? And a couple of years ago, I realized that, that's what people want to know. They want to get out. And I did a whole bunch of research on it and trying to figure out, exactly what it is that they want to get out and they want to be doing. And it's, they want the freedom. They want the financial freedom and, making sure they have the money in the bank to do it. But they also want a business where they're having fun doing it as well. But with any business you have, whether you're working in corporate or you have your own business, there's still processes, procedures, and just different steps along the way that you need to be aware of, especially around sales and marketing and and production and, just making sure that you get moving things forward the way that they need to be. So that leads us to today's guest, who is a Kaizen practitioner. And if you're in business, I know a lot of manufacturing, companies use this type of practice within their business, but again, also entrepreneurs use it as well. So he's a Kaizen practitioner, and he teaches business owners how to get laser focus, very laser focus, so that you can, 10x your business without stress. So if you don't have any stress, well, then you don't want to listen to the show. But odds are you got the stress, so you need to keep listening, because our guest has a unique ability to always see several steps ahead. He's always seeing several steps ahead, very intuitive that way. And he can often see in others what they can't see in themselves. And that happens because we get so entrenched in our own stuff that we don't see the bigger picture. And he's able to help you and pull you out so you can see that larger picture of what you want to be doing. So as a visionary, he's in the field of success and mindset coaching, and he teaches spiritual entrepreneurs and success seekers how to cultivate orderly thinking so that their success and their happiness is inevitable. And so much more. We're going to find out more about that. So you definitely do want to keep listening, because we will be talking about money attraction, goal hacking, conversations with money. If you think that's crazy, you want to stay tuned, because we do have conversations with money, especially if you're an entrepreneur and a business leader. So welcome to the Connie Fife Show, Dan LaFave.
Thank you very much, Connie. It's great to be here.
So and you've been on the show, you're a repeat offender here, but your journey, I want to talk about, because when I was looking at some of your stuff, your information, I think some things have changed a bit since we talked last. So you've been inspired. I mean, you had a near-death accident. And that's when you really began to see the world differently and really understand people at a deeper level. And you talk about it in your book. You have a #1 bestseller, Live the Life of Your Dreams. And in it, you have so many profound questions where you're encouraging others, encouraging your readers to really ask themselves, some very specific questions. So I wanted to talk about that for a minute. You talk about, did I love today? Did I laugh? Did I learn? Did I serve? Why is that so important for someone to really find that place of happiness and live their dreams?
Well, I think it's just innate. I think we're all striving for that. And we don't realize it because I think we just get so preoccupied with life. The majority of people go to school, get a really good job, buy your house, build a family, and eventually retire. And, we don't ask ourselves the big question, how do we want to end this time here on this earth? How do we want that to look? Because at some point we're going to start looking back. I don't know if this whole analogy, but we're looking forward in our lives all the time. But at some point we start looking back and reflecting on things. And right. So we want to be able to look back and feel good, not in resentment or anger or frustration. We didn't do something.
And there is so much of that going on right now. It's almost like we've reverted backwards with so many things that you see in the news. And it's like so many people are taking on that role of victim. And I'm talking about that. I'm talking about that on my show when I'm out speaking. That's what I'm talking about, that we need to be moving beyond that. How can we really take people by the hand and help them see that, that's your past. You don't have to live in being a victim. And how can you take that forward?
Well, just to, give my perspective, I think even I'm a victim. I don't think I'm, any better than anybody else. I don't have superhuman powers, but I think we all have a little bit of victimhood in us and blame and complain. And it's because, I think it's mostly because of media. We just look at media, and what does media do? I mean, who did it, right? And
right.
Even the medical system, cancer killed them, or this killed them.
Right.
Well, wait a minute,
How can we move forward? I think my mother, we've lost her for 2 years now, and I think I wasn't close to her growing up. I didn't live with my birth mother growing up, but I really got to know her in my later years. But I was just. She still left me with something so profound that her husband had died and she had taken care of him from cancer. And then all of a sudden, she's suffering with cancer. She finds out a year after he passes away. And she goes, I'm not done yet. She goes, I am not done living my life. And she came from Kentucky, very, very poor family. A lot of stuff happened in her life, but she didn't allow that to be a victim for, her to be a victim. And I just remember that, and her just saying, I have so much to give. I have so much love to give. And I was really brought me in with your questions, did I love, did I laugh, did I learn, did I serve? And she was everything about that. And I'm actually writing my next book, and I'm talking about that in the book, and I'll be talking about her. But, I guess I'm still stuck with, how can we get people to see it differently? Because, we all have stuff and we could all play that victim role. But how do we move beyond that? And the questions that you're saying, did I love? So, ask yourself, or even did you serve today? What is it that you gave back to somebody else? Because, again, I also believe the more we give, the more that we get back as well. And it seems like that's a lot of your philosophy, too.
Well, yes, and I think it's important that we ask ourselves questions, and I also think that just getting thoughts out of our head really matter, and most people don't do that. And in fact, I work with entrepreneurs all the time, so then I'm constantly asking them questions, and I draw the things out of them, and then we zoom out to 30,000 feet, and then we take a look at it, and then we zoom back in and get to work. And oftentimes they're like, "Well, that was amazing," and I'm thinking, "Well, you could have done it yourself," but they're not. Maybe aware enough, or they don't take the steps. But I have this methodology or theory that I say thoughts become entangled as they pass through your lips and over fingertips. So I'm basically saying, speak them, write them, type them, something, take them out where you can actually do something with them. But, coming back to what you're saying, did I love, did I laugh, did I learn, did I serve, asking these questions, a little journaling could even just draw that out every day.
Yep.
most people might focus on what were my successes today. Well, maybe what were my successes in those categories?
Right.
Did I love somebody today? Did I laugh a little bit? Did I learn something? Did I serve? Where did I serve? And just asking those questions. And as soon as we start asking ourselves questions, there's that part of our mind, the reticular activating system, it gets to work, and it wants to respond to that. It's like, okay, what did we do today? And it starts seeking out all the different events that happen, and then it brings it into our mind. And if we make that a consistent habit, then we can start shifting from being a victim to being somebody who is aware and taking action, and actually trying to fill what, I would say, could be a love tank or a joy tank or a happiness tank, some sort of tank inside of us, filling that up. Because if we don't fill it up, guess what? It's on empty all the time.
Right.
And then we watch the media, and then we become the victim. And there's victims out there, and we want to throw daggers at them, just like everything else. I mean, all movies, almost not all, but most movies are even made based on that too. Well, who's the villain? Who can we throw daggers at?
That's right.
Who's to blame? Somebody has to be.
Right.
Not me, but them.
Let me just take a really quick break. And when I come back, I want to talk about money attraction. The Connie Five Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Five Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConnieFifeShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show. All right, we are back, and we're talking to Dan Lefebvre. And what we want to be talking about now, Dan, is I know you're a Kaizen practitioner, if you want to talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk about getting laser focus around money attraction and having those conversations with money, because so many entrepreneurs are just stuck in that place of, they're in the trenches. And, then they come back to, okay, let's see what's in the bank account. And they're having those conversations with money for sure. So let's talk about money attraction and what can we do there?
Well, yeah, in terms of money, conversations with money and money attraction, they're all sort of hand in hand, but the conversations with money are happening all of the time. And I've talked with people who, you could call them C-suite, my relatives, they own businesses and they have all sorts of income. And, I've asked the question, do they have money issues? Do they bump into, money conversations in their mind all the time and comparing prices and so on. And they do. So everybody has these conversations with money, and they might even be comparing two products, the Green Giant versus the No Name, and it's $1, and they're tripping over dimes to save dollars or whatever, right? And or tripping over dollars to save dimes, and it's this inner conversation all the time. And I don't think any of us can avoid it, because I think historically we've had famines, economic upturns, downturns, and so on, and wars, and all these circumstances that have caused generations and generations to think that there is a shortage. There's a scarcity of money. I'm only capable of so much. People have financial thermostats, right? Their parents made X amount of dollars. They lived a certain way. They only bought certain things. They didn't vacation or whatever. All that story ends up being a conversation that we're having with money all the time. And whenever we go to buy things, a pair of jeans, we buy them at Costco. They're, I don't know, $30 or so or whatever, right? But if you go to Nordstrom, you're paying hundreds, right? And so,
or the same jeans sometimes.
Yeah,
I know. I'm one of them.
but you're there at Nordstrom, and you might be saying, I could just go to Costco, right? That's a conversation, right? That's right. So that's what everybody's doing on a consistent basis. And that's why it's like saving money. It's like, do people open their wallets if they have hundreds of dollars in there? No, because they're thinking like, who's looking over and they might want to steal from you. Well, really? Are they? I mean, no. These are the things we think about. And we don't realize it. Those thoughts are just swirling around in there. And I think that in most cases, they push money away because it's scarcity, it's limitation.
So, and I totally understand the scarcity of money, but help me understand and I'll say I'm guilty. I mean, I go to Target and I'm looking for, I got my Target, thing on my phone where I can get a discount. Why isn't it working today? I had that happen recently. So, I mean, how are people, that scarcity mindset, but how are people pushing money away?
Well, because if it's scarcity, like they're basically saying there's not enough. I don't know if I can get more. I don't know if I'm capable, or maybe I have to, really stretch myself to get more, and I'm not willing to do that. There's conditions, circumstances, and roadblocks and fears that come up all the time. So, in terms of pushing it away, the way I think of it, I think money actually has sort of a voice, and I think of it this way because if you think of money on an energetic level, at a vibrational level, if you put it underneath the microscope, it has vibration. If I held in one hand a $100 bill and a coin in another, and I said to you, which one would you like? You're probably going to just jump at the 100. But if I said, oh, you know what? Sorry, I forgot to tell you a little bit of details about this coin. It's 500 years old and it's worth $20,000. But you've had a conversation in your mind. You just gave more relevance to the $100 bill versus the coin, and now it has more power. And so we're always giving power to money based on what our relevance is to it and what it can buy, the value. But also at the same time, our thoughts are either pushing it or pulling it. We're either saying, I appreciate all the things are, good things are coming to me. There's more where that came from. I don't have to be concerned about spending this $100 on this thing, whatever it is. For me, it's Lego toys for my kids,
Right. So, and it reminds me of something that I've seen on Facebook, and we know Facebook is always correct. There was a guy on the streets of LA. He was doing a test similar to what you're talking about. He had a gold bar and he had Hershey's chocolate bars. And he was going up to people and saying, which do you want? The gold bar of money, or do you want a Hershey's chocolate bar? And in his test, no one took the gold bar. They all took the Hershey's chocolate bar because it was an immediate fix for them. Rather than looking at the gold bar as more of a long-term money attraction. So the way you're doing and the way you're looking at it, and those in business, what's one or two suggestions or secret sauce that you have to help them see that, you might want to look a little bit further down the road or long term, and maybe that gold bar was more appropriate than taking the immediate fix, of a chocolate bar. So how would a business owner, an entrepreneur, look at it that way?
Well, I think that, again, it's going to boil down to awareness. And I don't know if there's any real magical way of doing this.
Okay.
That certainly when it comes down to awareness, it's like, okay, throughout the day, like if we could just say, okay, today I'm going to be aware of all the different things I think about that have to do with money, buying things or selling things.
Right.
And I'm going to make a mental note or record it in my phone or write it down, but I'm going to pay attention. I even talk about paying attention to what other people are saying. Because when we hear other people saying things, and I have a book, which is a manuscript now, and I've given it to others, and they went around and they were paying attention to what other people were saying, and they couldn't believe that other people were like, they were saying, well, I'd buy that ice cream, but it's outrageously priced. Forget it, like the kinds of things. But from a business standpoint, it's about being aware. It's all about buying and selling, right? So, is it a worthwhile investment? Well, if it is, then why aren't we doing it? You and I probably have those, we have clients who have those conversations all the time with themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Should I invest in this program with Connie and improve? And then, well, it's going to cost me this. And then it's about, is it valuable enough? Well, if it weren't for money, would they do it? I think that's a key question we can ask ourselves all the time. If it weren't for the money, would I just do this? Right? If it wasn't cost me $20,000 to learn from this mentor, would I do it?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, so true. So many things there. So I have a couple questions that I always ask our guests to complete. And I think we know the answer to the first one, and that is, if you can complete, Dan, I am unstoppable because.
I'm unstoppable because I'm persistent, and I practice Kaizen, which is constant and never-ending improvement.
Yes.
Every day.
So as all entrepreneurs, we're always evaluating opportunities. Like you said, why would somebody work with you? Why would somebody work with Connie or my team? And so what is your process for evaluating opportunities?
Well, I think that, again, I just start writing things down. I like whiteboarding things. So I just start writing things down, and I write, whatever comes to mind, and then the pros and the cons. And, I just kind of do like a sort of physical assessment. Okay. And then I just check in and see, how does this feel? Right. And I kind of go to my future self and say, well, if I was there in the future and I invested in this thing or this product or whatever, this service, how would that feel? Would I feel like I made a good investment, and do I see myself getting a benefit from it?
Okay. Yeah. I love that. I love how you're visual. I'm a whiteboard gal myself. I have multiple in the office and in the studio, but you're right. Just writing it down and looking at all of those benefits. And like you said, where will I be, maybe a year or 2 years after, working or, taking part in an opportunity like that. So it's a really good evaluation to do that, and not to just jump into anything, but really evaluate how it's going to help you get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. And see how you feel, because I don't know if you know, but through research, we know that we have not only just neurons in our mind,
right,
but neurons in our heart and neurons in our gut. Mm-hmm. And so when we say gut feel, why is it gut feel? Because it's in our gut. And if it's a gut feel, we need to get it up to here somehow. And then we can say, hey, yes, I feel, not only is it gut feel, but I feel strongly about this, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to fully commit and take it. Whatever the risk, I'm going to do it. Right. I invested $20,000 in Bob Proctor to learn from him years ago. That was a worthwhile investment. So.
Yeah. I've done so many worthwhile investments for sure. So glad to hear that. So what will you ever be satisfied with the work that you're doing?
I don't think so, because it's just never ending. Like I just, I don't see myself retiring. I mean, that's the question I ask my clients. I say, would you ever retire? And if they tell me, I say, well, maybe you're not doing the right thing. But, for me, it's never retiring. I may not do it, full time, but I just feel like if there's something inside of me I need to share it, it's lifelong, and I'll probably go to my grave doing it. And so.
Yeah, I feel the same way as well. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do. And especially, like I work a lot with those that we consider the Gen X. And as they're making that shift out, and they're doing what they love to do, they're living their dreams. And so many of them say the same thing, and myself as well. I don't see myself ever ending. I am shifting. I've started that shift a bit, where I'm not on the road as much speaking, but I am still getting out there, but I reduce that, and I'm working more with clients. But my next step is to take this and to have my own retreat center, where then people can just come to me for, multiple days. And that's how I started, working at a retreat center in the Poconos, and we would bring our clients in there 2.5 days every season, the same group of people, but we had people coming through always. So I said, that's where I started, and that's how I want to end it. But I don't ever see myself stopping, for sure. That's for sure.
Why would you?
Yeah, I love what I do. I just love what I do. So what's next for you? Where do you go from here? I know you have the book. Share a little bit more about the book, but what's next for you?
Well, I have the book Conversations with Money, which I don't know if you're aware of that one, but that is a physical book, which I have the manuscript. So that's okay.
That one I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. So I guess what's next for me is I'm teaching people what I've learned, the bumps in the road that I've, hit, and I'm taking that and teaching to others. But I think as well, there's a shift that I think is going on over the next 10 years. And I think that it's about purpose, and it's being purpose driven. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I think, are coming to the realization that, their life isn't filled with the purpose, it's filled full of stuff. And I'm hearing that more and more and more. And so I sort of, I think from that standpoint as myself, like I don't need to have all sorts of stuff. I need to have purpose. I need to, because as you know, I'm thinking with the end in mind, death backwards, right? So I'm thinking.
Well, purpose is exactly, and I think, we work a lot with that same generation, Mark. And again, that's what they're looking at, purpose, legacy. What am I leaving behind? Am I still being, very responsible to my family, my future family? So there is, you're right. There is a lot of conversation around purpose. That is so true. So are you going to be writing more about that? Is it more involved in your programs? How are you going to be sharing that?
I'm definitely going to be writing it and teaching about it. And I'm probably, there's my wife and I are talking because she does energy work and also yoga, healing style of yoga. Okay. So we're talking about putting something together that, might be a live retreat, but also a way of incorporating those two aspects. And certainly, I've created a 3-day workship as well for goal setting. Goal hacking is what I've called it. But, at the same time, I'm talking about setting goals and so on. But, I think it's about shifting that too, which is, most goals are about getting, but what about giving, right? Because part of the cycles around in the world are all about giving and getting, right? And receiving. And things like that. But I think that, because of the changes that are going on, and there's some cycles that are happening in the world right now, like the economic changes, climate change, human conflict, and those are all kind of, pushing people and squeezing them. And, what comes out when we get squoze, we don't know, right? But we find out. So I think that what I'm going to be teaching more and more of is how to be, have clarity of mind, clarity of purpose, clarity of focus, and really dial into that, so that when we get to the end of our road here, which we don't know when that is, we can actually, look back and just say, I lived a full life, and I did impact the people that were most important to me. And
so you have your North Star. You know exactly where you're going, what is driving you, and what your passion is that you're offering to others. That's fantastic. Love all the work that you're doing, Dan. We got to go soon, but do you have any last parting words that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, I think, based on what I'm talking about here, which is, it's kind of general, it's money and different things like that. But I think, the core thing that I would like to share with your listeners is that, we are all doing the same thing, which is we're all pretty much chasing money. And it's becoming more and more virtual. In fact, my wife told me that in China now, they don't even have credit cards or cash anymore, and it's all virtual. It's wallets on your phone. So what are we chasing anymore? So, I think that we need to understand that, we don't need to chase it. We do need it because it's our form of trade and form of power and purchase.
More trade going on. Mm-hmm.
But, I think we need to realize we're trading that. We're trading our life for that. And I think we have to stop a little bit and back up and say, okay, do I need to trade my life for, this invisible thing?
Perspective. That is a good perspective. Are you trading your life for it? So, wow, I never thought of it that way. That's definitely going to be one of my takeaways from today's show. How can our listeners find you and find out more about your books and your manuscript you have that you're working on?
Well, they can certainly check out my website at danlefebvre.com. The workshop is not on there, the goal hacking workshop I did refer to, but maybe I will put something up there that they can access that. And in terms of my books, Amazon, everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, iTunes. You're
everywhere. All the social media platforms. Just look for Dan Lefebvre. You're definitely going to find him. Dan, thanks for being here. I'm really, really proud to have you here, have you back on this show, and keep up the great work that you're doing. I mean, it is so needed.
Thanks, and you too. It's awesome to be alive and be here.
Well, this is Connie Fife, and you're listening to The Connie Fife Show, where we talk about how you can go up or out. We're moving ideas forward and keeping the passion of life activated. Now, today you received a framework for how to set inevitable goals and establish a money attraction plan. And also take a look at your purpose and where do you go from here. And make sure you check out Dan Lefebvre at danlefebvre.com. And also remember that it's time to head over to theconnie5show.com to learn more about how you can broadcast your story everywhere. We have advertising opportunities available. And I would be amiss if I didn't recognize my awesome team who are ridiculously dedicated to working with you, executives, entrepreneurs who are transitioning from their C-suite career into becoming a lifestyle entrepreneur and living your dreams. Find out more about our talent agency website at cpcreative.com. And we look forward to seeing you and working with all of our clients because we are unstoppable together. And I will leave you with that this week. I'm Connie Fife. And if you like what you're hearing, share with us, share with your friends, share with your colleagues, and subscribe with us on iTunes. Until next time, activate your power and know that we are unstoppable together. Hey, y'all, it's Connie Fife. Thank you for listening to the Connie Fife Show. Check back often. You don't want to miss any of the good stuff. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest on the show, head over to theconniefifeshow.com to apply. While you're there, check out our amazing advertising opportunities that will put you right in front of your perfect client. I will see you over there. Do yourself a favor this week. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.